Hello everybody, how we doing? Yeah, everyone give it up. Clap it up for yourselves. Get the blood flowing. I like it. I don't know if you guys were in here earlier, but I made mention real quick. I want to mention to you guys as well. All the sponsors and booths out there, they have tickets that they're holding on to. So if you go hang out and engage, get to know them a little bit, they'll give you a ticket. And those tickets are good for raffles right before the closing keynote. We have a bunch of great prizes and things we're giving away: swag bags, tickets to next year, some iWatches, which is pretty cool. So make sure you go out there and make sure you're talking, hanging out with everybody, and getting to know the sponsors a little bit, and they will have those there for you. So for now, ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome to the stage from Social Media Delivered, Eve Mayer, everybody. Eve.
I didn't know they were going to play that. That's pretty nice. Good morning, everybody. I'm Eve Mayer. I'm LinkedIn Queen on Twitter, so if you'd like to follow me and follow along, we're also going to put out this presentation today later on Twitter, and I know that Digital Summit always does a great job of putting out all the presentations later, so you can definitely have this and use this as you would like. I'm also periscoping, so Anne-Marie is up here in the front and helping me out and holding, and she's getting arm cramps all in the name of social media. So like, if you're secretly like a tax preparer and you left your job like on vacation and you're over here learning about social media, don't ask a question because you're gonna be on the Periscope and they're gonna find out and the jig will be up and it'll be awful. So for those of you who haven't Periscope before, I think it's kind of cool to check it out. Periscope, Meerkat, Blab, all just live streaming. When you go on there, you see a lot of puppies and a lot of boobs, to be quite honest, but there are other interesting things on there, well, more somewhat, okay, maybe not as interesting, but exciting and profitable things that are happening on video streaming. So I think if you go to LinkedIn Queen later, it's important to know that this Twitter, that Twitter and that Periscope will only be available for 24 hours. So when it's done recording, it's only up there for 24 hours. So if you haven't watched a Periscope yet, you want to go watch it or retweet it or post it. And if you are joining the Periscope while it's happening, which is kind of weird, but you can, it's super meta, then if you want to share it, you can, depending on if you have an iPhone or if you have an Android, you can swipe either up or to the right if you're watching it while we're in here. So that's the story with Periscope. Today I am talking about, what am I talking about? I'm talking about real-time marketing. I'll give you a little background about myself so you know exactly what I can talk about, what I don't know so much about. I own a company named Social Media Delivered, and here is my shameless plug. Detroit is amazing. It's fantastic. I really enjoyed it. The hotel was beautiful. But if you want to move to Dallas and you're looking for a new social media job or an internship, tweet me or come see me. So we are 30 social media writers, content generators. We work with clients in English, Spanish, and French, mostly in the US, but also some in Canada and Europe. And the things that we have been doing for 7 years is we create content. We mostly write, but we also do graphics and video. And we monitor. So we watch for what people are talking about. So there are large Fortune 500 companies that are now more frequently outsourcing the monitoring. And a lot of people will say, well, how can they do that? Because it has to be in their voice and they have to be able to have conversations. It's the same process we went through back in the day when we outsourced customer service, when we outsourced our advertising and our marketing. And most companies are simply unable to keep up with the increasing response time that our audiences, that our prospects, that our customers are expecting. So they're using the inside first and then outsourcing those monitoring and those conversations to other companies. That's one thing that we do. We've been doing this for the monitoring probably about 4 or 5 years now with live interactions, and this presentation is built on the things I've learned from that. But not only just that, I've written a couple of books. One's called The Social Media Business Equation, and that's how to do social media. But I really think that this book, Trendology, is good, and I did not write it. Chris Kearns wrote it, and I think he's a really smart author, and he has a lot of analytical background. He is on Twitter, Chris, and K-E-R-N-S. And he's very analytical and very smart in ways that I am not. And I think when you're getting into the world of real time and response, you have to have a combination of a team that is brilliantly creative and very smartly analytical coming together. Otherwise, you're going to get in a lot of trouble. So what are we talking about today? Real-time marketing is the practice of creating content inspired by a current topic, trend, or event. So imagine you're at a party and you're talking about the game. Let me be authentic. I hate sports. You're not talking about the game. You're talking about Dancing with the Stars. Important things, right? You're talking about Bindi Irwin and how great she's doing on Dancing with the Stars and Shaka Khan and how you used to listen to Shaka Khan and you're at a party, you're having a great time, and this guy walks up and you know, you never met this guy, but you know this guy. Like, he has a beard, he's like dressed very authentically, and he, you know, probably smoked a cigar a little while ago, and he walks up and you're all into talking about Dancing with the Stars, and he's like, so beekeeping, how do you feel about the bees and how they're going away? Don't you want to punch that guy? Like, I really just want to, I've never punched someone, but I feel like that's the guy I want to punch, right? I know bees are serious and urban honey making is very important, but I'm talking about freaking Dancing with the Stars. You understand? So when we started doing social media, most of us representing brands are like that dude. We walk up in the middle of conversations happening across the Twitter sphere or on social media, and we're like, let's talk about us. Let's talk about our product. Aren't we funny? We're tying it into a holiday. Isn't that wonderful? And they're over here having these conversations. Don't be that dude anymore. You can't be that dude anymore. It's just wrong. So that's what real time is about. Real time is about talking to people about what they're talking about, getting into the conversation, building a relationship, and then, if appropriate, bringing your brand voice into that. Should an airline be talking about the royal baby? What's a candy bar doing tweeting about a soccer match? Since when does laundry detergent weigh in on TV shows? And those conversations are crazy, right? No, they're not crazy. Because if that's what people are talking about, and you would like to have a relationship with those people, you've got to join them where they are. All right, tip number 1, take real-time marketing efforts with existing campaigns. You always want to have a list of what the existing campaigns you have going on, because sometimes we forget, right? We have several going on at the same time, and we want to have them summarized in front of our creative team and the people that are handling real-time interactions. So Crest did a really good job. They saw ruin a rap track was a hashtag that was trending. It's where you take a rap song and just mess it up. So they said, when a girl walks in with an itty bitty waist and white teeth in your face, you get really interested in her dental care, right? It's fantastic. I'm not mad at Crest for doing that. That cracks me up. And what am I gonna do? I'm gonna share it because it's hilarious. If they're talking about how fast you can whiten my teeth, I'm not gonna share it because I don't care that much. So this got a lot of retweets, got a lot of posts. Tip number 2, relevancy has a deadline. So Old Spice says, why is it that fire sauce isn't made with any real fire? Seems like false advertising. And in under an hour, Old Spice responds to Taco Bell, is your deodorant made with really old spices? Smart, really smart. And I think it's cool because we're the people responsible for this, right? And I think for the first few years, we had to be really corporate and we had to be really boring. And then we realized that that really sucked and it was not working so well. I'm gonna drink some coffee because I was up super late last night. I'd like to tell you that it was like a wild night, but sadly, I was in my room in my pajamas working. That's delicious. Okay, so the other thing that's really interesting is we're having conversations, companies are having conversations with people. But then we see this. This is Old Spice talking to Taco Bell. It's like we're kind of watching two celebrities that we're kind of friends with talking to each other, right? Like we feel like we have a relationship with Taco Bell. It usually happens about 3 a.m. after the bar closes, but we feel like Taco Bell and us are close, right? Maybe a little guilt behind it. But when we see these brands talking to each other, we kind of feel like we know them. We kind of feel like we're involved. And it's an interesting time we live in where people feel like they're having a relationship with a fast food place and a deodorant and a hotel and a hospital and an energy company. But that's the real purpose of social media, is building relationships so people know that they can do business with us, because you like to do business with people that you know. Number 3, don't insert yourself into conversations where you don't add value, right? Kind of like the bee guy, or if you don't fully understand the context. So it says, Kenneth Cole, Egypt, regarding the Egypt tweet, we weren't intending, let me go back to the first one. Millions are in uproar in Cairo, hashtag Cairo, because there were people that were revolting and they were using that hashtag to group all those things together. So there was actually something going on at this time and they wanted to capture an audience around things that people were talking about. Rumor is they heard our new spring collection is now available online. Link. It's painful, right? It's painful. We sit here and we think, well, how could they have done that and not known, right? Because it seems really obvious to us. But we are all handling things more quickly. We are all seeing budgets and resources and people increase in the handling of social media. And at some point, no matter how brilliant you are, someone on your team under your direction is going to mess up. It's gonna happen. It might be you, it might be somebody else. I have messed up plenty of times. Fortunately, none of them have been tremendously big, but it's gonna happen. And when it happens, I'm going to apologize. I'm not going to make excuses about it. I'm gonna remind people that I'm an imperfect human, and I'm gonna apologize. So I do think that Kenneth Cole did a good job coming back and said, regarding the Egypt tweet, we weren't intending to make light of a serious situation. We understand the sensitivity of this historic moment. So they came back quickly and they apologized. We need to remember that every company is made up of people and people are imperfect. Therefore, every company is imperfect. Any company still acting like they don't make mistakes is going to lose. Number 4, use traditional and digital platforms for marketing during planned events. During the Super Bowl, this was actually my favorite. It was a glue commercial of a glue company called Loctite, which I had never heard of. And they were really on Twitter. They took their entire budget and they spent it on one ad during the Super Bowl. But their social media, to me, was the part where they won, because the ad was just hysterical and interesting and just very awkward people dancing to a rap song about glue. And then they said, you don't choose the fanny pack life. The fanny pack life chooses you. And they were all wearing fanny packs with glue in it. And then a little while later, they said, how long have you waited for a glue company to release sick rap beats? And then they put out a Spotify record completely with rap songs about Loctite glue, which were actually pretty good. I gotta be honest, you should listen to it. They were actually pretty good. So I think that the thing that was important is they knew that they had an audience that was watching only during the Super Bowl, because all their budget was happening then. So they prepared all their creative beforehand. They got ready for what might happen, and they had conversations on the fly during it. A lot of things we know are coming, and we can prepare for it. So to be effective marketers, I'm gonna go over here so I can see a little bit better. To be effective marketers, we have to be ready and prepared for all types of things. There are known topics, things that we know are gonna happen. There are unknown topics, things that just happen on the fly, and we have to be ready for it and prepared. There are tentpole events, which are big events coming up with a known date, and there are micro events, small events that are gonna happen with an unknown date. So we're gonna look at each of these. So Star Wars Day on May the 4th, for all of us dorks, including myself, we like May the 4th for May the 4th be with you, and that is Star Wars Day, right? So here is Maker's Mark, May the 4th be with you, and maybe the 5th. So we know that this is coming, we can prepare for it, we can have a couple of drinks and plan some quippy things to say, and it's gonna be great. Tentpole events include award shows, the Emmys, playoff games, industry events, holidays. Unique holidays are now more popular than other holidays. We'll talk about that a little bit later. And niche events like a show premiere, a finale, things that are gonna be heavily talked about on social. So next we have opportunistic. So the Grammys. We know the Grammys are coming, and we know we should watch and we can prepare in advance. But when Arby's did this, a guy was actually, who was on the Arby's social media team, sitting at home watching the Grammys, and saw Pharrell walk out with that hat. And in a moment of brilliance said, hey Pharrell, can we have our hat back, Grammys? This is what dreams and social media are made of, right? We just dream about this happening just once in our freaking tweeting lives. 83,778 retweets, 48,940 favorites. It was brilliant. And then it went on and he sold the hat and it raised money for charity when Arby's bought it. It was just beautiful. But the point is, you have got to have smart people empowered to act quickly. We still have a lot of social media teams, especially with highly regulated areas like finance, healthcare, energy, that have to go through too many tiers and don't give them freedom to act quickly. Instead of controlling them and making them go through all these people, provide them training, put them in the right place to trust them and educate them, and then put them in front of people to do this. It's the same thing when companies hire a PR person. They train them. They train them on how to speak professionally, on how to dress professionally, what to say about the company, what not to say about the company. I don't think companies are investing enough in their social media professionals who have at least as much power as that PR person who is getting in front of a camera. We do. And now we have this possibility to reach thousands and sometimes millions of people to kill or to raise up the brand, and we're deciding that that is not important. I don't understand that. So training and hiring people that represent the organization and know the organization. There's a lot of people out there who know social media, but you need someone who can represent the organization and learn about social media. I think social media is, and how you do it, is easier to teach than someone really getting in and being able to emulate the voice of the organization. I'm going off on a lot of tangents. Okay, these are award shows, sporting events, sorry, I'll go back to that one, and industry events, South by Southwest, CES, Fashion Weeks. And then watch lists, these are things that you know are going to happen, but you don't know when. So hashtag Royal Baby. Hostess Snack says, this summer, a precious little bundle of sweetness was born, and Will and Kate also had their baby. And in there they have a Hostess Snack wrapped in a blanket, if you can't see it, which is really cute. So these are celebrity events, things that are going on with babies, births, weddings, product launches. Apple events are always going to get a lot of attention, and you know people are going to be talking about that. Breaking news, news does still matter. We do get a lot of our news increasingly from social media. And every day there are micro events that happen. So Groupon, which I love, right? Groupon one day put out a banana holder, all right? And people saw the banana holder, and it looked interesting to them. So they began immediately to comment on the banana holder. Ken Jeffries says, you know what that looks like, don't you? Groupon comes back within 27 minutes and says, like a sound investment, Ken. Nice. Heather Jackson says, is this ribbed for the banana's pleasure? Groupon in 12 minutes says, that's a complicated question, Heather. Bananas don't exactly feel like we humans do, but our scientists estimate that they heavily enjoy the comfort of the banana bunker. 3,531 likes, by the way, okay? This is on their Facebook page. Ben May says, I foresee some non-banana related uses for those. Groupon says maybe, but due to their clamshell design, these would make poor cups and ineffective car seats for children. We'd suggest sticking to fruit protection. Why on social media can we not talk the way that we actually talk to our family and friends? Why not? I think my family and friends are hilarious. I love talking to them. It's fantastic. But then when I get online, I feel like I'm in this world where I'm supposed to cross corporate and cool and make it a whole formula at the same time, and it just kills me. So start saying things that you would say to your family and friends. Check it before you post it to say, okay, would this get me arrested, or am I breaking any laws, or am I not in the voice of the organization? But let's get more interesting. Random real-world events. For instance, after reports that the iPhone 6 was bending in people's pockets, there was Bendgate, so we can jump on that and see what happens. Internet phenomenon, when the internet dropped everything to celebrate Beyonce's birthday with Bay Day, hashtag prompts. So you're gonna start looking at hashtags, and I want you to start practicing with your teams. I want you to go tomorrow and look at the hashtags and go, what could we say about this? And it's not always, please, know that it's not always relating it back and immediately sending them somewhere to buy something. Please don't do that. But getting into the conversation and seeing if it can result in more followers and more people that are talking to you. Great opportunity. Performance of planned real-time marketing versus average tweet performance for the top 106 brands analyzed in Trendology. These are the top brands, Coca-Cola, all the brands that you would normally look at for good marketing. 400% increase of retweets. So performance, that was the planned one. Like, we know the Emmys are coming up and we're gonna plan to do this, right? We're gonna plan it out and we're gonna put it out at the perfect time. 400% increase of the retweets. Now the ones that just happened, like the Grammys and he saw the hat and he did it, opportunistic, that just happened and they came up with brilliant things, 1,200% increase of retweets. So there's a lot of people that say real time is not worth it. There's too much risk, it won't work. I think that is ridiculous. Real time is basically a fancy marketing word for talking to people about what they're talking about now, talking to people about what they actually care about in that moment. And I think that's pretty important. Real-time marketing isn't always successful. So remember like 5 years ago, we'd be like, Halloween is in a month. How can we like make some pictures of our product in orange and black and talk about like when you go to the door, maybe you'll get this in your basket and it'll be great. Stop doing that, right? Nobody cares anymore. It's played out and it's getting old. So if you look at this, you will see a decrease in tweet performance around normal holidays. Halloween, 4th of July, Christmas, New Year's, Valentine's Day, St. Patrick's Day, Mother's Day. All of them are decreasing in people retweeting, looking at it, paying attention to it. However, the weird holidays, for example, let me just tell you. 4 days ago, I was in Belgium. It was one of the most important speaking events I ever did. I was at NATO headquarters speaking to NATO and NASA and important, organizations, and we started trending because there were brilliant people there, brilliant people talking about social media, world leaders, right? And we started trending. We were really proud. We were right under National Cheeseburger Day. Very important people, right? So what I'm saying is, Christmas is not as cool to talk about on social media, but National Cheeseburger Day and Free Pancake Day and Free Ice Cream Cone Day are going higher. So focus on those. So 5 steps to real-time success, because I really want you to leave and have things that you can actually do. Once again, this is going to be on my Twitter, which is LinkedIn Queen. Digital Summit puts out the presentations. I know a lot of times you don't have time to go back and look at the presentations, but I really think there's some stuff you can actually do here. Common real-time marketing goals include increasing engagement, driving content distribution, increasing impressions, driving revenue. Even though I hate this word, I'm going to say it. Define your KPIs, right? I've often thought that we should all just start taking a shot every time somebody says KPIs. But anyway, define your KPIs, your key performance indicators. You're not going to be able to tell people on your team if this is working if you don't know what you're actually trying to achieve before you start. So don't just start doing this for no reason. Number 2, do your research. Every day or watch list real-time marketing. Research the audience, interests, and types of conversations they're having. Once again, you're not trying to start up a conversation that the people you're trying to target don't like. If you look at the data and there's a hashtag and it's very popular, but it's people talking about going back to college and you're trying to reach people that are 35, that's not the place for you. Fully understand an emerging trend. There are times when there is a hashtag that people see and they only search it and look at the first couple, and they believe that the hashtag is a positive message or a good message about X. And if they had scrolled down a bit more, they would realize the primary use of that hashtag is a very dirty, nasty, profane, awful hashtag that no brand wants to be associated with. So every time you're doing this, I want you to search on that hashtag. For example, the name of my company is Social Media Delivered. Back in the day, 6 or 7 years ago, we were going to use hashtag SMD and discovered no. So track available details around event participants and anticipated storylines. Number 3, prepare. Set the guardrails. Don't waste time on ideas that are off limits. If it's offensive, if you're pretty sure it's offensive, don't do it. Prepare templates for different scenarios. You got to get ready to be funny. Saturday Night Live is one of my favorite shows still, but they're preparing all week long and writing things and preparing to be funny. And by the way, this is not just about being funny. There are other ways to get spread. Controversy always spreads, appropriate to the voice of the organization, and human emotion always spreads. Clearly define every team member's role. Pre-design content, social listening, publishing technology. If you think the person who's going to create the creative is the same person that is going to analyze the analytics, you're probably wrong, or I really want to meet that person. Because it's just not typically how people are wired. It happens, it does, and there are a few of those special people out there. For example, as you can tell by the hair, I am the creative, and the people at the office, many of them, well, we have a lot of creative people, are also analytical, and you need both of those people to make this work. Social listening is very important, watching what's happening. Number 4, execute. Put a plan in place, work the process you have in place, but be flexible. You may go on along the line and think that this is working in a certain way, but 2 to 3 months, we all know how this industry is going to change. I heard somebody talking earlier in the band that was going to speak, and they were like, I did my presentation, I've done it 4 or 5 times, it's getting pretty old. I got to change it. We're in an industry that is just forever changing and it's difficult to keep up with. Sorry. look at social feed as well as the actual event. So I want you to watch the social feed, but if it's talking about a commercial or a show or whatever, I want you to watch those things at the same time. So you need multiple screens, ideally in a nice monitoring place that you have set up. But if not, your living room in your pajamas is good too. Number 5, measure and report success. The next morning, record your KPIs. All right, if you hit a home run, provide story to the press. If it garners a press release, you've had some results that are extremely interesting. The day after, gather insights and brainstorm ideas for the future. And by the end of the week, share the results with executives. Now, let's talk about sharing results with executives. I see a lot of social media professionals giving executives dashboard reporting that they're never going to understand and get really mad at you about. Complicated, long write-ups. Anytime you're writing to an executive, and this goes beyond this, it needs to be one page, and ideally, because I'm going to be stereotypical about who that executive is, I'm going to ask you to print it out on an actual living piece of paper. I know you've seen them. They're incredible, right? One piece of paper and put it on that person's desk. I want the font to be large. Once again, I'm being stereotypical about who that executive is, but I want the font to be large and dark and possibly have some kind of interesting, colorful pie chart that tells them what the heck actually happened in the business. Don't just tell me how many impressions, don't just tell me how many retweets, because that person may not actually still understand what a retweet is, and too many years have gone by for that to be explained to them, and they don't want to admit it. So tell them about the business. One of the biggest issues we have is legitimizing what we do to our executives. You gotta talk about the business, which is why it's so important when you start doing this to have a business goal in advance. I think that's the end of this. Let's see. Yes, there I am. So there's all my info. There's my email address on there. Fabulous. All right. So my email address is on there if you want to email me. My presentation's on LinkedIn Queen, and I have 2 minutes and 55 seconds for questions. But like, I totally really can't see, so let me know. Yell if you have a question. There's no way you don't have. Come on. Do you really not have any questions? Okay, there's somebody. Yes. Stand up and tell us who you are. What's your sign? Nice. What is your niche market, can we ask? Is it secret?
No, we manufacture post-mortem equipment.
Post-mortem. Interesting. So who buys the equipment you manufacture?
Hospitals, universities, laboratories, government agencies, but the people who work for these agencies who have to make the purchase decisions are still human beings. But I'm still trying to figure out how to.
I am not sure if this is for you. I'm not. This is not for everybody, and real-time marketing is going to be mostly consumer-based, and you're not talking about a consumer sell here, right? You're talking about a business-to-business process. In my mind, typically on business-to-business, you're going to start on LinkedIn most of the time, because the people that you're approaching, I cannot see you ever reaching out on Twitter or Facebook about the product that you're talking about. I really can't. So honestly, I don't think this is about you. Now, if there was a company page that you had on LinkedIn and you were putting status updates there, and there were niche things that affected the industry, for example, if there was a new development in, is it like cremation? Is that what we're talking about? Okay. Interesting. Okay, so that is definitely, so for me, real time is what people are talking about, so that would qualify, but I would keep it mostly on a LinkedIn page for the most part, and you could have that trend into news every once in a while, but because you're in such a sensitive subject, I think you're right that mostly that is not for you, but there will be times when things come up that people are talking about, and you had a perfect example where you would talk about that in a sensitive way, but still bring it back to the facts. And then whenever there are advancements in technology in that area too, you want to be a thought leader because you want people to, it's a time when they have to trust you, right? So you need to be a thought leader in that arena and bring all the advancements, whether it's from your company or even other companies, to talk about those things. Does that help a little bit? I'm sorry if I'm, yes, sir. Nice, Blake. I like your sweater. Evergreen, meaning like posting things that are planned or things that need to repeat?
Or just content that is sort of perpetual.
Right, so I'll tell you how we do it. When we work with our clients, we talk to them each month. We know, okay, they're gonna have this event, they're really focused on this product this month, this new thing has happened, this person's been hired, whatever's happening at the company, right? And we write that content for the month. Then we put that content all during the month, and then each day we are live having more conversations about new things that may have happened and doing all the interactions live. So that's how we balance it, and I absolutely think that has to happen. This does not replace putting out content that moves you forward. I wrote a book called The Social Media Business Equation, and it really talks about how to create that content, that ongoing content, and also how to interact. But more about creating ongoing content and interacting in the right percentages that move you toward a business goal. So you absolutely need both. But the demand for response time and real-time interactions is increasing across brands. So we see it highest in business to consumer, but it's also increasing for nonprofits and government organizations and business to business. So we all have to respond more quickly. I think I don't really have time, but let's say I have time for one more question. Yes. Yes, you're like, I feel, Gemini? Oh, I was so close. I'm sorry, I couldn't hear the end of it. Got it. So anything that you did that tied into a human interest story or a good cause, that you got exorbitant social results that were not normal. There was a Chili's restaurants had a guy who saw a Chili's being remodeled, and he went by, he was a college student, and they were getting a new pepper, you know, like the peppers they have on the restaurants, and so they were getting rid of their pepper, and he was like, can I have that? And they were like, sure. So he took the pepper, and he put it on his like college apartment. I may be getting some of these facts right, but just pretend they're right, okay? Or wrong. So he took the pepper to his like patio, and he woke up the next morning and the pepper was stolen. This was horrible, right? He was devastated. So he actually contacted Chili's on social media, and Chili's responded, and people started talking about it, and Chili's said some funny things, and it got to be a news story, and the retweets and the action on it were just really good. Because it was a news story and because of the social media exposure, somehow he got the pepper back. And Chili's, I think, tweeted, he wants his pepper back, which was brilliant, right? So it was pretty great. So anytime, I can't remember, but I do think that they put out either a blog or a press release about what happened to the pepper and the stolen pepper and how he got it back and the whole news story about it. So anytime you have extraordinary results, I would put it out in a press release, because there's still such a misunderstanding around what social can do and how it works. I think that's of interest to people, and I think it can perpetuate the success that you're having on it and give that story even more attention. Thank you guys so much. It was fun.